This is really gonna bust up some fucking people, and they're just gonna be, the tears are gonna flow.
I don't care what anybody says.
Go on, lay it on me, roast me.
I'm more of a positive guy.
Yeah, I have an unpopular opinion here.
Height.
One hot take that will definitely send people after me to revoke my metal card.
It's other shit.
Ja, bare en gang bunke lort.
I mean, fucking hell.
Stop that bullshit.
This one I like.
Kiss is like for 7 or 9 years old.
It's an opinion. We all have them. We all like different things.
If you still can't take it, you know what we say at the Merciful Metal channel. Bye.
Welcome to the 6th Hot Takes and Unpopular Opinions video. In these videos, we have a look at your hot takes and opinions while sticking it to the people who think they can set up rules for what you should think in order to be a good fan of whatever we're talking about, because that is a load of garbage. Let's get down to business. We'll start with Red Blue Sam, who has 5 very interesting hot takes. The first one is this: Limp Bizkit's debut album, $3 Bill Y'all, is a masterpiece, and it should be considered as one of the best hybrid rock albums of the 90s. I'm purposefully not calling Limp Bizkit a new metal band, since I think the term is a misnomer anyway. Yeah, it's kind of a fake genre term, I think. There are elements of hip-hop, trip-hop, psychedelic rock, and noise rock on this album. Also, in the liner notes to Significant Other, Wes Borland actually thanks Portishead for inspiration. So this is interesting. I've never heard this album, and for the most part, I've only heard people trash Limp Bizkit. I've only heard Rollin'. That's the only Limp Bizkit song I've heard, which I don't hate, to be honest. Don't like it either. It just exists. So this is very interesting. I did not expect there to be like psychedelic elements on a Limp Bizkit album. So cool. I think I'll check this album out at some point. So thanks for bringing that to my attention. Up next, Black Tie, White Noise is actually one of David Bowie's best albums. It's even better than some of his 70s material. Nice to see some love for Black Tie, White Noise, because I love that album. I like the use of saxophone on the album, which is very kind of dialed back, and I think that's actually pretty cool. And I like, this might be a hot take too, I think my favorite David Bowie albums are actually Black Tie, White Noise, and Earthling. So, yeah, I kind of agree on this, actually. It's a great album, Black Tie, White Noise. Check it out if you don't know it. Okay, next. Most of Iron Maiden's albums with Bruce Dickinson haven't aged that well, in my opinion, and that's coming from someone whose favorite Maiden albums are Somewhere in Time and Seventh Son. The albums with Di'Anno are more coherent and pack more of a punch. I also think that as a whole, the X Factor is a more enjoyable album than either Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, or Power Slave. So yeah, I think this is probably a very unpopular opinion among Maiden fans. There is a group of Maiden fans, however, that only want to listen to the 2 Di'Anno albums. Everything else is garbage to them. And that's, yeah, fair enough. Now, personally, to me, the Dickinson albums, most of them have aged pretty well, but not all of them. I don't think, or rather, I don't like Fear of the Dark as much now as I did back then, and I was always kind of disappointed with it when it came out. The other albums, I'm fine with them. I think they're great. My favorite album of all time is Somewhere in Time. And I'm a big fan of Seventh Son of a Seventh Son too. Not everybody is a big fan of Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, though.
Ladies and gentlemen, talking about Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, I honestly get a burst of annoyance when I see people put this album at number one. I'm just like, really? Really? Do you know, I understand that we can all have opinions and whatnot, but like, really? This is your favorite? I don't get it. It probably stems from my hatred, like proper hatred for Can I Play With Madness. People have come up to me before and said that that's a stupid opinion. It's not that bad. It's good. I saw you singing it live. Yes, of course I sung it live because it was live and you're in the moment, obviously. But as part of the whole studio, no, I've always hated Madness. It taints the album, man. Like, honestly, Moonchild is a weird opening song, I think. Like, I get the proggy side of things. It's just commercialized Iron Maiden. They've come off the Power Slave and the Somewhere in Time gritness stuff, and they go into like Radio Queen elements of like perfect production and things like that. That's what I reckon. Madness is a terrible song. We all know it. Infinite Dreams, that's probably my favorite on side A, in my opinion. The Evil That Men Do, yeah, it's good, but like, it's the Trooper 2.0. It's hard to praise an album with songs that are so overplayed as well. That's the hard part, but yeah. Seventh Son, the title track, yes, that's good. I will defend that song. It's a 10-minute epic and it's great fun. But yeah, the Prophecy and the Clairvoyant, the intro to Clairvoyant is good. But other than that, no. And then Only the Good Die Young, probably, yeah, top 3 of this album. But there are so many other Maiden albums that I listen to over this one. I put No Prayer over this. I put Virtual 11 over this. X Factor, they're great albums. I think this one comes in at like number 12, number 11 out of 17, I think. But yeah, I've just never praised this like the rest of them. While it's okay and you listen to it because you own it and you're a fan, but like, it's just, no, I'll listen to it like once every 3 years. So yeah, Seventh Son, not Maiden's best album at all.
So there's that. That's a bit of a nuanced take of Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, actually, which I appreciate. The X Factor, I actually quite like the X Factor, and I don't think I enjoy it more than The Number of the Beast or Peace of Mind or Power Slave, but I quite like the X Factor. And my favorite part of the X Factor is actually Blaze Bayley's vocals. That's what I like about the X Factor. There are some songs on that album that I actually think are pretty atrocious, and I don't like the production, but Blaze Bayley's performance I think is top notch. So I quite enjoy the X Factor. So there you go. That's a bit of a hot take, a bit of a punch to the gut of a lot of Iron Maiden fans. But I do know there are people out there that don't like Bruce Dickinson's vocals. I know that's not the issue here. Okay, next. Undertow is Tool's best album in terms of, well, pretty much everything. From the songwriting to the performance to the production, they captured a certain magic that got lost on subsequent albums. So, I guess the hot take here is that all the other Tool albums just don't have that oomph, they don't have that X factor that Undertow has. So, I guess it's not so much that you think Undertow is a good album. That's not the hot take. It is that it's the best album in Tool's discography. I never got into Tool. For some reason, whenever I try, I kind of zone out. And I love progressive music, but for some reason, I zone out when I listen to Tool. Don't know why. If you have any suggestions as to Tool songs that would be good starting point songs, or a playlist or whatever that can get me into Tool, please let me know in the comments below or in an email or whatever. So this, yeah, it's interesting because this tells me a lot about the Tool fandom, more so than anything else, because I don't really know Tool that well. So that's cool. Okay, the next one is gonna make a lot of metal fans cry salty tears of I don't know, whatever. It's gonna make them cry like little babies. I like Saint Anger, and I don't get all the hate for the snare sound. You're not the only one who likes Saint Anger. S&T Young actually likes Saint Anger quite a lot. Check this out.
I actually didn't know this album sucked until everybody fucking started hating on it. My brother and I went on a fishing trip, and we played this son of a bitch, and I thought it was fucking badass right off the bat. It didn't sound like their other albums. I think that's the main thing that attracted me to it. It had this raw kind of garage sound that I really dug. It was heavy as balls. In fact, my old band used to cover several tracks on this, and every time we played them live, everybody went nuts. After saying they hated this album so much, you play a track off this album live, and it's a whole different ball game. Especially like Some Kind of Monster, play that live. It's so fun. It just has its own sound. Purify, that song's fucking awesome. All in my hands, all within my hands. Love that. Unnamed Feeling, Frantic, this song, Saint Anger, Invisible Kid, My World, Shoot Me Again. There's so many good songs. Sweet Amber, love that one. The lyrics are really simplistic. Obviously has a lot of emotion. Very angry. Saint Anger is a good title for this album.
So there you go. He likes Saint Anger. I actually like Saint Anger too. I do think the snare drum sounds weird, but it's a choice they made, and it's not an album that's pleasant to listen to. It's kind of an ugly sounding album, and I think that's what they went for. I think there are a lot of good songs on Saint Anger. I do miss the guitar solos, to be honest, but I think there are a lot of good songs. My favorite is probably Invisible Kid because it's kind of groovy and bouncy in places. So I agree. I like Saint Anger. It's not my favorite Metallica album by any stretch of the imagination, but I like it and I enjoy listening to it every now and then. I do not like Load and Reload, but those albums have their fans too.
Metallica Reload. I like this album. Shock horror. Most people absolutely despise this album. I've heard a lot of people say, everyone's, generally speaking, most people say Saint Anger's the worst album, and I agree with that. In my opinion, Saint Anger is definitely the worst. But then I've heard a lot of people say that this is the worst. I really just don't see it. I think this is a fantastic album. The other thing is people always say, oh, Load was good, but Reload, not really. For me, I think Load is boring. Load had 3 or 4 good songs, the rest boring to me. But with this, I pretty much like every song, or certainly don't dislike any. And I think it's partly due to nostalgic quality, like in the late 90s when I bought this album and I was listening to it a lot. But yeah, I just really like it. Like, is it Metallica's best album? Absolutely not. It's not even close, but it's just a good, solid, almost easy listening hard rock album. Sometimes when I don't know what else to listen to, I can just pop this on and still really enjoy it. I don't understand the hate for this album. It's certainly not as bad as everyone says it is.
So there you go. And George G from George G's Room of Rock also likes one of those albums. Check this out.
I like most of it. I'm not gonna say it's a great album, but it is a good album. It's better than when I first got it, but it's got great tunes on it. And it's not what you want from the band, and they definitely simply changed their logo and their sound. It looked a lot different. Metallica's Load from 95, I believe. I Ain't My Bitch, 2x4, The House That Jack Built, Until It Sleeps, King Nothing, Hero of the Day, Wasting My Hate. All those songs are good. And the other ones are okay. I mean, some of them are kind of boring, but for the most part, that's 8 songs out of the album pretty much is good. By half it's good. So really, the whole thing's not a turd. I understand why people didn't like it. I don't think it's as bad. It gets better every time I listen to it. I mean, it's not like you want all Metallica. That's what I like better, obviously. But still, it's still not a bad album. Load definitely gets a bad rap, too.
So, even Metallica's unpopular albums have their fans. I have to admit, I'm not a fan of Load or Reload. I think those albums are boring as hell, if I'm being honest. But I definitely respect people that like those 2 albums. And I quite enjoy listening to Saint Anger. So thanks for those hot takes. Moving on to another handful of hot takes, this time from Black Leather Eyes. First, he says, the examples you gave, are they your own hot takes? I don't remember what examples I gave, but they were probably my own opinions because I couldn't think of anything other than my own opinions there. Anyways, here are his hot takes. The idea that extreme metal is the musical pinnacle of masculinity. This is utter bollocks, obviously. Yeah, I agree 100%. Tying gender identity to music is nonsensical to me. I get it. They're like folk traditions and stuff where gender and music is is tied together in, like different traditions and rituals and stuff, but that's a different thing. We're talking popular music here. And I do think that I think it makes no sense. Um, I think first of all, regardless what your gender is or your sexual orientation, if you like extreme metal, you like extreme metal. No problem. So, say if you are a woman, cis or trans woman, and you kind of like extreme metal, but you're kind of scared to like it because, ooh, masculinity, all that stuff, just ignore it and listen to that extreme metal and enjoy it if you do. And if you want to play extreme metal, go for it. I don't have a problem with that at all. And anyone who does, to me, is kind of a weirdo. I think tying your identity in general with popular music, I think it's probably best avoided. I mean, it is something we all do when we're younger, probably, but if you are, I guess, too zealous about it, you will just end up causing a lot of problems for yourself and other people too, because then an attack on your favorite music becomes an attack on your identity, and then you have people going into fan rage and all that stuff. It's dumb. So I agree 100%. I don't think extreme metal is particularly masculine. It's aggressive and it's brutal and evil and all that stuff, but I don't see where the gender thing comes into the picture, if I'm being completely honest. So I definitely agree there. Now there is I guess related phenomenon here that Mark from the Wandering Souls channel addresses. Check this out.
Bands calling out for we are the most extreme this and most fast that and the most hard band in the world. Who fucking cares? I don't freaking care. Music for me is passion, emotion, bringing out a certain atmosphere, and for me it doesn't always have to be fast or most technical or the most extreme vocals. Don't get me wrong, I like extreme music, I love it a lot, but bands saying like, hey, fuck you, we are the most extreme band in the world, I don't fucking care. It's just a commercial stunt to get attention. And then when I listen to it, I think, why is this the most extreme? Is it the fastest? Is it the most heavy or whatever? Why are you calling it like that? I don't really care actually. If I listen to a certain band and I don't feel it, I don't gonna like it. That's how it is. The music is passion. Music is all about emotion to me. And if I don't feel it, then you can be the most extreme band in the world. But I don't fucking care. I don't really care. If you want to address something, you are death metal or grindcore, fine with me. Then I know what the music you expect. But like, we are the most extreme band in the world. In what? In your actions, in your music, in your, I don't know. To me, that is not a thing that appeals to me. To me, it's just a commercial thing to draw attention. I understand in some way that you want attention, but sometimes they also say you are underground, and then I think making statements like that or releasing stuff at all, music, CDs, demos, vinyl, etc., then you're not underground. Because you release something because you want to reach something, and if you're underground, you want to stay underground. You know what I mean?
So yeah, I agree on that too. I mean, this whole idea that we are the most extreme metal band in the world, the most brutal band in the world. I think maybe it ties back to this idea of, the pinnacle of masculinity. You have to be as hard as possible. I don't know if those two are connected, to be honest. But yeah, it is true. It is kind of a lame PR trick at the end of the day. Uh, so thanks for that take. Next, Black Sabbath invented heavy metal. They didn't. I'd say they didn't invent heavy metal on their own for sure. They were part of it. Um, I think it was a movement on the rock scene at the time, with some artists wanting to play harder music and slower music and darker music and heavier music, and maybe wanted to create kind of an alternative to the hippy dippy flower power stuff. And if you go back and listen to a lot of Black Sabbath contemporaries, some bands that came before Black Sabbath, some contemporaries, and some bands that came after Black Sabbath, you will hear a lot of elements that would eventually lay the foundation for heavy metal music as we know it today. There were a lot of like psychedelic bands that went in a really dark direction with their music. There were a lot of blues rock bands that played really heavy blues as well. And you had a lot of like boogie rock bands that kind of played a little bit faster and had a little bit more distortion. And you had um, a lot of southern rock bands as well who started being just a little bit heavier. And you had a lot of progressive rock bands too, doing stuff that you find in heavy metal music today. Um, Even like jazz fusion bands went heavy. So I think there was a lot of stuff going on in the scene at the time. A lot of different movements and trends and bands inspiring one another. I mean, you can even argue that, and people actually are making this argument that the Beatles invented heavy metal with Helter Skelter. I don't know if they did. Uh, or, and this is something not a lot of people talk about, but maybe they invented doom metal with I Want You, She's So Heavy. That's a slow and doomy song. I don't know. I think I think the truth is probably that there were a lot of bands doing stuff at the time, and they kind of fed into one another, and eventually that would set the mold for what we know as heavy metal music today. To me, I typically say that metal was invented by Sabbath, Deep Purple, and Led Zeppelin together, but that's not even precise because there were so many other bands at the time doing stuff. So if that is what Black Leather Eyes, if that's what he is kind of getting at, then I agree 100%. Now, of course, there are a lot of opinions on Black Sabbath and their first album. Uh, and some of these relate to this, like, is it a heavy metal album? Is it not? Did they invent heavy metal? Christian Osorio, for example, actually has an interesting take on this. Check this out.
A couple of days ago, we celebrated the 55th anniversary of this album. This is a Black Sabbath first album. We all know this is a very iconic, very important album in rock history. It's one of the major releases in heavy music. But I think if you think out of the box and you start going track by track, you realize this is not a perfect album by any stretch. This is front-loaded. This is, I think, the side A, it's perfect, and I think side B, it's at least okay. Side A, we have a Black Sabbath, we all know that song. Then we have The Wizard, that's great. Beyond the Walls of Sleep, that's great. Then we have NAB, great stuff. And that's side A. And now on side B, we have Evil Woman, that's a cover. Sleeping Village, I don't know if any of you are very familiar with that song. Then we have The Warning, that's also another cover. That's how the original album ended, but it was added later. Another song, it's Wicked World. So if you think in perspective and you see the track list of this album, side A is without any argument. It's a great 1, 2, 3, 4 songs. That's awesome. That's great. But side 2 is kind of okay. It's not that good. 2 covers on side B on a 7-track album. I think it's way too much. Even though we all agree this is a big milestone in heavy music, when you see in perspective and you start going track by track, you realize it's a great album, but it's not a masterpiece. It's not a 10 out of 10 album. But we all love this album. We all love the very iconic cover, the kind of story behind this photo, the model that was hired to impersonate that kind of witch and displays in England. So that all makes a great album, but it's not a perfect one. But trust me, it's a really, really good one.
So yeah, is it a great album? Is it a all-out metal album? Up for debate. Now, there's also this idea, like when we talk Black Sabbath, so what lineup is the best and what lineup counts as true Black Sabbath. Trevor Hickey has a take on that. Check this out.
Let me make this perfectly clear. Black Sabbath is not Black Sabbath with Dio or with Tony Martin. Dio can outsing Ozzy. Tony Martin can outsing the both of them. They're both amazing singers. Top tier. Yes, everyone says that Tony Iommi is Black Sabbath. Wrong. Geezer Butler, Tony Iommi, Bill Ward, and Ozzy Osbourne is Black Sabbath. When I saw Black Sabbath, it wasn't the full Black Sabbath because Bill was not on tour. That's a whole other kettle of fish. Now that Ozzy's got his 2 final shows coming up, it should be an Ozzy show, and it should be a final Black Sabbath show with Bill, Geezer, Oz, and Tony.
So my take is a little bit different. I think that all the albums that have been released as Black Sabbath albums are Black Sabbath albums. I don't know, maybe Seventh Star, maybe that's up for debate. I would even argue that the one album that they released as Heaven and Hell with Ronnie James Dio, that's a Black Sabbath album to me as well. So yeah, it's probably just a matter of like different takes and different maybe preferred lineups and is it the first lineup that's the true lineup and things like that. So there are lots of different ways to look at this. But this also takes us to the all the I guess hubbub pertaining to this kind of last Black Sabbath album, Black Sabbath concert that is looming on the horizon. And again, Christian Osorio has some takes on this, so check this out.
This last gig, last concert that is going to be done by the original lineup of Black Sabbath and also with Ozzy. We all read about the big buzz that it was created when it was announced a couple of days ago. It created a lot of commotion and good thoughts. Wow, seeing the original Black Sabbath guys for the last time once again on a stage playing their songs, and with a long list of other guys, other bands and other musicians that are going to play tribute to the band. But when you do a double click on everything that it has been said on the last days, and seeing a couple of days ago that it was already sold out, and then I don't know if Ozzy came out or Sharon Osbourne, the manager of Ozzy, came out and talk about that Ozzy is going to do some bits, some pieces of things. It's kind of a clickbait, it's kind of scam, it's kind of a cash grab on many fans. I don't know if they were thinking about seeing the original band and doing them a full set of Sabbath songs. And this only being a celebration of the band with the fourth guy, it's like they are erasing the rest of the story of the band. Unfortunately for Ozzy and for Sharon, Sabbath had a very long career. After Ozzy left the band, they had the glorious years with Ronnie James Dio, their short stint with Ian Gillan, and the other stuff they recorded with Tony Martin that fortunately there have been reissues last year with that really cool box set, and it was very successful with sales. But I think it's a very difficult thing when you consider that the band had a longer life. Of course, we all know the ups and downs that the band had when Ozzy left the band, the troubles they have in the 80s trying to keep a steady lineup with many guys coming and going, and Tony Iommi being the only original member staying with the band. And the thing that bothers me is that because of legal issues, money issues, unfortunately they are not allowed to release any new music under the name of Black Sabbath if it doesn't have Ozzy on the vocals, because unfortunately it was a really bad agreement Tony Iommi had with Sharon. And we all know Ozzy cannot sing. He had a lot of health issues. He has actually Parkinson's, and I don't think he's going to be able to play or sing or I don't know what he's going to do in this farewell concert with all those bands being there. It's going to be a big tribute. I don't know. It's going to be a tribute to Ozzy. It's going to be a tribute to Black Sabbath. If you want to do a tribute to Ozzy, do a tribute to Ozzy on a separate show, on a separate location. But don't mix it up with a tribute and a farewell to Black Sabbath. Of course, he's a big name. He's one of the biggest singers in rock history. He's a legend. He's an icon. But this is a tribute to Black Sabbath. Why you have to put also Ozzy trying to do something? I think it's going to be painful seeing Ozzy trying to do something. I don't know, he's going to do something sitting in this throne that I don't know why Dave Grohl is not here and he's going to share with him his throne that he had. I think it's going to be kind of a mix of emotions because it's going to say goodbye to one of the biggest band, but I think it's also going to be really painful to see in the actual condition that Ozzy is in these days.
Personally, I don't. Yeah, is this a good idea? I actually don't know. I haven't thought that much about it. I mean, if Ozzy enjoys performing on stage, making music, I don't see the problem in a last hooray, if you know what I mean. But at the same time, if he doesn't enjoy it, if he just feels he has to do it, and if it's gonna be like unpleasant or uncomfortable for him because of health issues, I don't know. And is it gonna be a good show? I mean, and the ticket prices, they were like gonna be really expensive, but at the same time, I think a lot of the profits would be donated to a good cause, some kind of charity. So, man, I don't know. I don't know. I think yeah, I literally don't know. Is this a good idea? I actually have no idea. Okay, back to Black Leather Eyes. King Diamond is a genius at creating great spooky horror stories. I don't know what horror people are into, but his stories are as scary as a bag of pink flumps. Uh, and Black Leather Eyes is not alone in this. Check out what Tommy the Vinyl Knot has to say.
King Diamond is exciting heavy metal if you are like 12-year-olds. All this penguin face black metal type of masking, crosses, upside down. It's like Kiss is like for 7 or 9 years old. And King Diamond is as exciting for 10 or 12-year-olds.
Ooh, that hurt. I like King Diamond, to be perfectly honest. I like his singing style. Took me a long time to get into it, but I like it. I like all of his solo output. I really like Merciful Fate. And I like the idea that he puts out concept albums and that he writes horror stories. And I like how he organizes the narratives and uses the song lyric structure as a way to tell the story from different perspectives and stuff. I like how he uses his voice and his singing to support parts of the narrative, but I don't find the stories scary. I have to admit, it's not like I listen to Give Me Your Soul, Please, and I'm too scared to go into the basement. It's not like I listen to them and then I can't sleep. So I don't find the stories scary. I find them good and interesting, but not scary. So, yeah, so there you go. Thanks for that. Up next, Black Leather Eyes says, as good as Celtic Frost are, they're not as good as Tom G. Warrior thinks they are. I actually don't know how good he thinks Celtic Frost are. I really like Celtic Frost. They were one of the earliest bands I got into after Maiden and AC/DC and so on and so forth. The first Celtic Frost album I heard was Vanity Nemesis, which I really like to this day. It's not their most popular album. It's kind of a mid-paced thrash album with avant-garde elements, but it's not as experimental as To Make a Therion or Into the Pandemonium, and it's not as raw as Morbid Tales, dethroned Emperor's Return, and all that stuff. Um, I like Cold Lake too. I'm sorry, I do. I think Monotheist is a masterpiece. So I mean, obviously, I think Celtic Frost is a great band. They are undeniably a super important band. Um, but I think their greatness is not so much their musicianship as it is them as visionaries and their willingness to experiment with music, if that makes any sense. I don't know how good Tom G. Warrior thinks Celtic Frost are, so I don't know about that, but I think they are a good band. So there you go. Okay, the next one is gonna hurt, it's gonna sting. This one it will make a lot of people cry salty tears again. Black metal is the new glam metal. A massively popular and overrated scene where the guys wear makeup and girls love it. At its worst, it is as cheesy and inauthentic as the 80s glam scene, and just as entertaining in its Spinal Tap isms. Oof, that must hurt, because a lot of black metal fans are really into it for its authenticity and its darkness. And now you got Black Leather Eyes comparing it to glam metal, the most inauthentic, fake metal. I mean, obviously, I disagree with on that. I think glam metal is metal, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I think that's interesting. Black metal can be very theatrical with the corpse paint and all that stuff for sure. Uh, and there are a lot of parallels if you think about it. So I think that's actually hugely funny. To me, I always saw deathcore, metalcore as the glam metal of modern metal because uh, at least in the 2000s, a lot of those bands, it seemed that they were very popular among younger people, and they had a lot of women liking them. There's nothing wrong with that, I have to say. Just comparing it to glam metal, and it seemed like they also, had a lot of image going on. They focused a lot on their image, the hairdo, and all the tattoos and the outfits and stuff. So to me, deathcore and metalcore were the glam metal, but I can kind of see the parallels with black metal too. Now, I do like a lot of black metal, I have to say. I also like a lot of glam metal, so there you go. I like a lot of black metal, uh, so it's not a bad thing. But I think it is true that there is, just like glam metal had the theatricality going on, there's a lot of theatricality in black metal too. Uh, and there are probably a lot of inauthentic black metal artists as well, just like you did have a lot of inauthentic glam metal artists. Although to me, it was more like in the early 90s where you found that with all the power ballads. So there you go, yeah. Thanks to Black Leather Eyes for those hot takes. I think they have left a lot of people just crying their eyes out. For now, thanks for watching.
It's warm here.